Hi, everyone, and welcome to Autism Hope Library. I'm excited to introduce my next guest, Pamela Alston. She's an advocate, and she is here to talk about really important topics, right? We're going to be talking about the importance of advocacy and how important that is to bring awareness to the community. And her title today is Rise Above. So welcome, Pamela. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me, Kristen.
Well, I'm excited to have you. I know we spoke a little bit before going on air, and I really would love for you to introduce yourself to our audience and explain to them why you're so passionate about what you do.
Absolutely. Thank you again. I'm Pamela Alston. I am a mother to a son with special needs. He's on the autism spectrum. He's 23 years old. Of course, yes, I'm an advocate by nature. That runs in my blood. I love to just educate people on the importance of eating well, eating healthy. I have a lot of friends who they either have health needs such as diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol. And on my quest and my search to educate myself, as well as find out the origin of this challenging life as a special needs mom, I decided to take upon my own research and just start digging in and finding out what is this thing called autism spectrum all about. So my journey has been a long one and it is still going. And on top of all that, I decided I'm going to hunker down and I'm going to start my own little blog. And it's called Get Your Life. And again, Get Your Life is based on the premise of John 10:10 in the Bible. To get your life, God says that he came that we have life and life more abundantly. So I base my premise off of that. We're not here living this life, just to struggle and just be challenged. We're here to rise above. Like I said, rise above. That's the title of this piece.
I love that. And, for
you.
those that are watching or those that are listening, how we met Pamela, and we basically put out an announcement like, hey, if you have a story or you have a journey that you're on, or you want to share something that you're passionate about on this journey, please, Autism Hope Alliance wants to share that. And so Pamela reached out to us, and I was so excited to read about all the work you do. And as you said before we went live here, if you weren't doing what you're doing, you didn't feel like you would be doing a good service as a mom for your
Right.
son. And,
Absolutely.
I feel that so many special needs moms out there, sometimes we can't even barely brush our teeth and take a shower. I always joke, if I take a shower, shave my legs, and wash my hair in the same setting,
Right.
that is a spa treatment. And listening to everything that you do, to help not only your son, but to help the community, it really is, you have risen above this challenge of this journey, because I don't think anybody sits back and says, gosh, when you have a brand new baby, you're not thinking, I know I wasn't, oh, I hope this child has autism. Of course not. You want your child to be healthy. You want them to have as many opportunities, more opportunities that you have even had. And you want them to have a life, this dream. We've all dreamed of our kids, either growing up to be a doctor, a lawyer, a teacher, a firefighter, whatever it is. We have that dream when you're holding your child. And so that you have done what you've done, to me, it's really an honor to talk with you today. And I'm excited.
Thank you so much.
I'm excited to be inspired by you. And I hope others watching and listening, realize that, there are days that it's hard, but you know what, as moms, either we get up and we do it, or we can cry in the corner and, nothing's going to get done.
And I've done that too. I'm not even going to lie. I'm not going to sit here and lie.
I've done that
too. So, yep. And my work is just beginning. So this is the beginning of what I call the second half that God has transformed my life around to do this work. So I'm honored for you to even call upon me to do this. So thank you.
What is the importance of advocacy? I know that is where your heart is, and that's where your passion, that spark is in you. So what is the importance of advocacy?
I think for me, advocacy is really multidimensional, because advocacy is really for others. Initially it's for you, but it's also for others, because there's many people who don't know what special needs means. So special needs is a very broad term. They don't know what autism spectrum disorder is. They don't know what it's like to wake up in the morning and, you've only had 3 hours of sleep, and, your kid is banging their head in the wall, and you go to work and you're like, I'm tired. My kid's been up all night, and nobody really understands what that means. But it's your job as the person who, I would say, who's in the trenches, to communicate why, you're going through these things, or not even necessarily give them the whole detail, but just try to give some background information so they can know, okay, well, Pam has a special needs kid, maybe we can kind of work with her, kind of support her, maybe we can find some articles. You don't know how many people I finally decided to open up and tell, because for years I wouldn't tell anyone that I had a special needs child because I didn't think anyone would understand or relate. But when I finally started opening up, people would come to me and say, hey, by the way, I found this article. Oh, hey, by the way, I found this information. So maybe this will help you. And that really touched my heart because that meant that they were connecting to me. By me opening my mouth, they decided, hey, let me touch and agree with her, and maybe I can help her find some information that she doesn't know about. So advocacy for me is about education. It's about awareness. It's about spreading awareness. Even if you don't have all the answers, you can still connect with somebody else who may find the answers with you. And once people are aware of what a special needs child is or special needs individual is, then they can start to recognize, hey, that person has autism. Wait, that person has Down syndrome. They're not just what they call years ago retarded. No, they have an actual special situation. So let me see if I can help them. So I would say number one is about education. It's about awareness, because there's so many people that don't know how to deal with a person, say, who has autism, because autism means so many things. It can mean that that person is sensitive to noise, or sensitive to lights, they're sensitive to certain foods, smells. If they're banging their head in the wall, or if they have earphones on, it's not because they're stupid or slow. It's because our world has not been adjusted to their world. So advocacy would do what? Shed light on why we need to adjust our world for their world, because essentially everything in their world is hypersensitized. It's in hyper mode. So they're always in flight or fight mode. So they're trying to condense their world to make it conducive for their needs. But if we're not doing it for them, then that's when the behavior starts. So that's essentially what awareness is about. Education, it's about awareness. It's about recognizing what that particular special needs is and acting upon it, and educating others again.
When your son is, you said 23, my son's 19, and I'm sure you remember this because when I got my son's diagnosis, I remember that time you would say my son's autistic, right? Now, I'm not here to debate. Anybody watching, please don't give me a mean email or text or anything. I don't care if you say autism, autistic. I'm not into the whole, to me, we have bigger fish to fry. But back in the day, you would say my son is autistic, and people would say, oh, he can draw well. And you're like, no, not artistic, autistic.
Right.
And then the first words out of their
Right.
mouth, I totally remember, and I'm sure this happened to you. Oh, is he like Rain Man? That's what they would say.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, well, no, And so now, I mean, it's actually sad, but it's good in a way. Not good that there's more autism, but good that there is more awareness. Now, if you say the word autism, I swear everybody knows somebody with autism. And it really, my son's only 19. He got diagnosed at 2 years, 4 months. It wasn't that long ago to where now it feels like a lot more people actually know the word, or they know somebody. They have a story, they have a connection in some way. So I love what you're talking about with advocacy, because I'm sure you remember back in the day trying to bring your child into the grocery store, and they thought that was a tantrum, but that wasn't a tantrum. That was a meltdown.
Right. Right. I used to put him in the grocery cart for years, up until your legs have to be bent up just to fit in. I used to do that because that's what worked, because he would run. And that's what, as a single mom, I had to do, because I had to grocery shop. So I put the groceries around him in the cart, and I'd walk right in. And I was very proud of myself, because it took me years to go in grocery stores, because even I suffer from high extreme anxiety. And at the time, I didn't even know it was anxiety. I just knew that I was trying to protect my kid, and I was afraid of people's stares. So I would put him in the grocery cart, make my list, go through each aisle, get in and out as quick as I could. And, I made it happen. People used to stare like, why do you have your kid in that cart? Because at least I can contain him. He's not going to run away from me. So it worked for years. And he wasn't even having meltdowns back then. It was just me trying to make sure he doesn't run up and down those aisles, because that's where he was in the running stage. So yeah, but
Well, when you talk about advocacy, what comes to my mind, especially in the community, is, and I do this, and I know my son's father always cringes because he's still in that very uncomfortable phase. Because I think it must be different for men, and I'm not sure because I'm not a man.
Right.
But we'll be going in somewhere, let's say because of COVID right now, we haven't been able to practice a lot, but let's say to the market, or to the post office even, right? I will legit walk in, and I don't care if there's 10, 20 people. I'll be like, hi, everyone. We are practicing our social skills. My son has autism. And
Wow.
I make a huge announcement, and I don't actually care. I've actually been on an
Wow.
airplane, and I have legit told every single person, if they would have given me the mic, I would have actually said something. But as we're walking, hi, we're practicing our social skills. We have autism. And I let
Wow.
everybody know, because if you're going to stare, guess what? I'm going to make you stare, because you're going to stare at me. You're not going to stare at my son. And then
Wow.
feel free to ask questions. And I'm laughing, and I'm always positive. And you know what? For me, at least, I've noticed that I'm the one who sets the stage. And for me, going out in the community, because I'm always happy, positive when I'm with my son, especially. And it almost like relaxes everybody. And then they're part of it. They're like, oh, wow, you did such a
Right.
great job. Like, we mailed a
Right.
letter like 2 weeks ago, and it was like a huge deal. And
Right.
literally, people in the post office were clapping for my son. And
Mhm.
if I didn't do that, they would have
Yes.
been annoyed. It would have set the
Mhm.
stage of negativity.
Mhm.
And it
Mhm.
literally it made it feel like they were part of it. And I
Mhm.
told them what we were doing. So I almost gave them a task, in a sense. And I wonder,
Mm.
when you're talking about advocacy, what's your thoughts on that? Have you done that?
No, and I was just thinking about that. I was like, wow, you really took it and you flipped it around. You took the initiative. And I'm like I said, I call it my second stage in life, where before I didn't know a whole lot, but now I'm becoming more bolder. I'm not that bold. I wish I was, but I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
Mhm.
If I was a little bit more bolder and, internalizing things as much, because again, for me, it took me years to let people know that this is what's going on, because I try to protect my son. But
Mhm.
I would have loved to have done that. I would have never thought about doing that, because I'm used to getting it the opposite way, people staring,
Mhm.
but had I been vocal, I probably would have turned that around, and hey, people would have been like, hey, okay, well, we understand, because
Yeah.
initially, again, that's why advocacy is so important, because when they think of, autism, or they hear, a kid, making noises, they're like, oh, what's wrong with them? Shut them up. No, that's not. And that's where, again, where advocacy comes in, because you're able to show support, garner support, and let
Mhm.
people know, hey, this is a kid who definitely he needs our support. So let's
Yeah.
support him. You turn that around, and you
Yeah.
were being proactive. But I'm
Well,
I'm
and
getting
I think
better. I'm getting better.
Well, what I think is great is there's different people, right? So like, and not everybody's the same. So all of us moms, we're not all the same. So I love that. Like, you're gonna do it your way, I'm gonna do it
Yeah,
my way. I can learn from you, you can learn from me, we can learn from the girl down the street and the moms all around the world. And
yeah,
that's how we work, right? That's how moms network. We all talk,
right.
and kind of then we got to kind of feel our own place of where that's at. But if we don't talk about it and we think of it as taboo or it's something bad, that's when you're going to kind of like feel alone, and we don't want to feel alone. And that's what I
Right.
loved about what you're doing with your advocacy. So let's talk
Mm-hmm.
about awareness in the community. And I think this, like I said, it's getting better, but we still have a ways to go.
Oh my gosh, it's so much work to be done. And I a lot of times I sit down, when I'm in my room thinking and reading and writing, and I'm like, what can I do? I even pray to God. I'm like, God, what can I do to really be revolutionary with this? Because there's so much work to be done with spreading the awareness. Like, what can I do? Once you have a well-known organization or well-known brand, it's easier to get the word out, because I found from my experience, even this year, with me trying to spread awareness, and even here in Maryland, about what is inherently needed in terms of supports. People don't really listen to you when you're alone. They will, but then they'll kind of go back to what they're doing. And that's where I am right now in my advocacy process. I'll be honest, I'm having a little bit of a dubious reaction to an idea that I was hatching out a few months ago in response to the tumultuous year that we've had in my son's care. And I finally decided, I'm going to say it, that I'm going to write a letter to our local legislators here in Maryland. And I'm going to write a letter to the governor about the inadequacies that I've experienced in the healthcare system, and just the lack of supports. Even a crisis line would be necessary. But I'm going to be honest, I've been very dubious. So I can't call myself 100% true advocate just yet, because I feel like once I can hold that title, and I can grab a hold of it and wear it, I'm going to stop being so dubious. I'm going to stop being so laconic. I'm going to stop being so hesitant, because I've allowed that negativity to take a hold of me. and this is my truth moment. But I realized, like I said earlier, I can't continue to shut my mouth. So I'm going to try to work past the negativity. I'm going to try to work past my traumas, and I'm going to write this letter. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, I mean, and it actually triggered a thought in my head because we're doing some remodeling at our home, and one of the things is they want to tax us if we want to remodel, and which is fine. However, one of the permits is we have to pay to the school district, and it's a fairly large amount, right? And so I asked the city planner, I said, well, why is that? We're trying to build we're trying to expand because of my son's special needs. He says, well, because we assume when you expand, it's for you're having more kids and you're going to the school district. And I said, well, what I don't understand about that is I said, my son's never been in the school district. We've homeschooled him. So I've been paying the taxes for the school, even though we don't use it. I said, and now I'm trying to build the home a little bit bigger for his needs and to make it his forever home. And I said, and now you want to tax me again for a permit. Where is the Disability Act? Where is the disability, people, is there a committee? Is there, what if my son was a senior? What if a senior needed to expand for having people come in? Why would that be fair for a senior? Why is it fair for somebody with a disability? And I said, has anybody ever asked that question? And they said, the gentleman I was speaking with, he says, I've been here 16 years. I don't think I've ever heard that. And I said, great. Can I please find out when the local city town meeting is? And so they told me it's coming up next month. And I said, I'd like to be on the agenda and I'd like to go to the mic and I'd like to talk. And I'd like to figure out why this is fair, because it doesn't seem fair that you're actually pushing families away of wanting to do something better for their disability adults, disabled adults or their seniors, right? And that's not fair. And he's like, absolutely. And so when you talked about and that's what triggered my brain was the awareness in the community. Now I could totally get shut down. I have no idea what's going to happen. But what I will tell you is, and my son's father said this, and I'm probably going to get the saying wrong, but Wayne Gretzky, I guess, had a saying, you're definitely going to, I know I'm going to get this wrong now, but you always miss the shot that you don't take, right?
Wow, I like that.
And so when I told my son's father, I said, well, I'm going to go and I'm going to go up to the mic. I've never done this before. I said, I'm going to go and I'm going to bring a one size fits all t-shirt. And I'm going to say to them, before I even start, I'm going to say, see this one size fits all t-shirt? How many of you this won't fit? Raise your hand, because it's not going to fit all of you. Well, then why do we have this in here? It's not a one size fits all. And we need to look at those with disabilities. We need to look at those that are seniors. We can't say that we're just having more kids from 1954 when this community was built, right? And that's when this particular thing came about. And so when you talk about that, we have to start at local levels. As parents, we have to try. It doesn't mean we're always going to win, but maybe the next person that comes in after me, it could be 10 years from now, 5 years from now, next year. It could be that we're just little by little chipping away, right?
Wow, I love that.
Creating a conversation. And so I love that, Pamela. I want to ask you one last question, because I know as moms, and I know I am super guilty of this. I talk about self-care a lot. That does not mean I'm very great at it, but I would love for you, I know that's one of your topics as well, and I would love for you to give us some tips, and I would love to learn some tips from you on how I can even be better with self-care.
So for self-care, wow. First of all, I found another really great therapist, and I was a little hesitant with that because, like relationships, if you find a therapist, it might work for a minute, but then next thing you guys split up. But a few years went by, and I was like, man, I really need to talk to somebody, because just the level of things that I'm dealing with, I need to talk to somebody professional. So I was blessed enough to find somebody at the end of last year. It's a local Christian counseling agency here in Maryland, and the lady has been phenomenal. So definitely therapists. Mental health therapy is on the rise. People are becoming more aware of it, and they're accepting of getting mental health. So it's nothing wrong with it. It's not taboo and it's not cliche. Please get a therapist. If you don't have one, get one, invest in one. It's not expensive. It's worth it, because you cannot walk this walk alone. Even if you have all the family support in the world, which I don't, get a therapist, because even somebody else's view from a clinical perspective can help and do wonders for you. And they can bring new light and shed light on your situation. And you don't have to be down and out and depressed just to have a therapist, just somebody healthy to talk to. And it makes a difference. Number two, I told you I was, just started with the candle making this year. And I found that brings me a lot of peace. Not everybody's going to be into the candle making, but something that really steadies you down and balances you out, because I found that with candle making, it is a process and you can't rush it. So anything that you have to take your time with, for me, it really like balances out my anxiety, and it makes me like really think about the moment and stop rushing, because in life we tend to move too fast. So candle making will make you take your time. You have to sit there. You have to pay attention to that water boiling so that wax won't spill when it's bubbling up. When you take your time with candle making, it brings a peace for me. So definitely candle making. But if you don't do candle making, get outside and walk. That's number 3. Number 3 for me is walking. Let me tell you, walking does wonders. You're in the house, you're feeling blue, you're in those covers, like I've been a couple days past, get out. When you get that fresh air, you come back in the house, you're a new person. Walking, even if you walk around the block one time, maybe a mile, half a mile, you don't have to be a jogger, but walking. If you can't walk, sit outside on your front porch, read, write, journal. Number 4 for me is writing. I got a journal. This thing is almost filled up. So, I'm about to go through a new one for 2022. So get a couple like little notebooks. You can go to the dollar store, get a little notebook and write. It doesn't matter what you write about, just write anything that's on your mind, things that you want to do. Writing does wonders, trust me. And I think for me, number 5, 3, 4, and 5 go together. Reading, writing, and walking. And also music. I will listen to some amazing music and my anxiety attacks will just disappear. And for me, yeah, also, I would say reading the Bible. Again, everybody's not religious, but if you're something that will speak to your spirit, definitely do that, because the days and the times that we're living in now, anybody, I don't care how high your frequency is, you can be the most jovial person, anything can disrupt your spirit these days. Your spirit man is getting tested and your spirit man will get attacked if you do not protect it. So get somewhere in a quiet place where you can read, sip some hot tea. I drink a cup of hot tea every night before bed, some green tea, and my spirit man is relaxed. So all of those things. And of course I go get my manicures. This is about a $40 gel, and I splurge like once a month on gels, but about a $40 manicure. So I'm like, I feel good now. And then I get my feet done, and then I get my hair pressed out. So all those little self-care things, if you can do one of those, not all of them, because not everybody has the money, do it, because you are worth it. Please do it, moms, because you will feel like a whole new woman or a whole new, parent. When you leave that salon, when you leave that, getting that manicure, getting your feet done, or massage. It's important. And hiking is coming up next. I feel going out in nature, anything out in nature will do wonders for your mind. Please go out in nature.
I love that. And so before we go, I want to make sure that people can find you. And so I know your website is getyourlife.online. So I want to make sure people that are listening, it's going to be here across the bottom of the screen, but it is getyourlife.online. And I know that's something kind of a newer venture for you, as you were saying. And but that's going to be, if you want to find Pamela, you can find her there. And, before we go, I know so many families that are listening or watching, we've all been there, even on the journey. Your son's 23, my son's 19. We've been doing this for a minute, right? Even as our sons are a little older than maybe somebody who just got the diagnosis at 3 or 4, we still have those moments that we're scared. We still have those moments where we kind of feel like, oh gosh, what do we do? What advice do you want to give to them? Because you have been on this journey a little bit longer.
I would say definitely, everybody is not a reader or researcher, and I get that. For me, researching and just looking up things like how I found you has done me wonders. Like people ask me, like, how did you find out about that? Like, I just get on the internet. That's what works for me. But if you're not one of those people to hunker down and get on the internet and take notes and notes and notes, definitely talk to someone that you trust. Someone that, again, it doesn't have to be a therapist, just someone that you can connect with who has some type of information. They may not have all the answers, but definitely talk to someone that you can trust, that say, hey, I'm going through this. I'm not feeling my best. I don't know where to go. What do I do? Someone that will, hey, maybe I can help you. I don't know the answer, but I can definitely look this up for you. And even if you don't have a very close trusted friend, I would say definitely, like I said, try that therapist. And then connect with one of the organizations. I've definitely, I've had to reach out. My local ARC has helped me. I've
Autism Hope
even,
Alliance is great as well. You
yes,
guys can get
yes,
on our
that's another one.
you
That's
guys can
another,
get on our
yes, yes.
library and and check out our programs.
Another great one I was going to mention, and I'm on a Facebook page. My sister and I both are on a Facebook page, and a lot of the women and the mothers and the families, they vent on that Facebook page. It's an autism community. I'll get the name and I'll give it to you, Kristen. But it's a great place to connect because there's so many people on there saying, "Hey, my son just put a hole in my wall and I don't know what to do. Hey, my son just, got potty trained." So they're celebrating victories, they're celebrating defeats, they're celebrating a lot of different things, and they're just venting because
Mhm.
that is so important. And I would never advocate for closing up, because I've done that so many times, because that's my response to the trauma. That's my response to me not being supported. But it's not a safe place to be. So you definitely need to connect to something or someone, because if you try to walk this walk alone, you're not going to be successful. Somebody's always going to know a little bit more than you do, and they could probably have that tool or tip to help you in your life. Support groups work wonders for me. I did one when I was in my late 20s, and it was actually a community of us. And the founder, it was the One World Center for Autism here in Maryland. The founder was Dr. Abila Tanzanu, and she has 5 children, but 2 of them have autism. She's a pediatrician, and her vision was to start this one-stop center and a place where you would have resources, come for testing, and that center is up and running. But before we actually had a physical building, we were a community of women. It was about maybe 10 of us, and we sat on the board. We would bring our kids. She had, one of her daughter's assistants that watched all of our kids. We would meet at the library. We would meet at the Ark. We would meet so many different places. And now looking back, that was maybe 15 years ago. That was it was like a home for me. It was like a safe place. And I didn't even know at the time that, I really needed this. And it just became I was just looking to join something and put my name on there and be a part of something bigger than what I was. And it turned out to be my safe place, my resource place. And even back then, my son wasn't having a whole lot of behaviors, but I knew I needed support, and that was a place for me. So it was a moment sketched and etched in time, but at that moment it came to pass. And if like I know, everything in time has a specific moment and a place. So that was my place to be, with Abila and those other ladies. And we had the best times. Her center is still up and running. And, I'm proud of the work that she's done. And even still now, we kind of connect here and there, but join that group. Reach out. Somebody knows something, even if you're alone, somebody knows something. And connect, and research, because the doctors don't know everything. And I've learned a lot this year with my experiences. There was a couple experiences that happened where doctors turned their backs on us, and my son was having a lot of aggressive behaviors, and we didn't know what to do. And we had to do our own research. My sister, she's going back to school to be a behavior analyst. And a lot of times I'm on the internet at 3:00 in the morning, like, God, what do we do? I'm typing how to deal with, a behavior, how do you deal with, intermittent explosive behavior. We didn't know what this was. So a lot of the doctors, they don't have the answers. They would just prescribe the meds and send you on your way. So you're like, back at home, what do I do? What do you do when nobody has the answers? So that's why I say it's important to connect with somebody else. They may have the answer, but the doctors don't have all the answers. Not putting them down, but they don't have all the answers. And even the disability system here in Maryland, they didn't have the answers for us either. But it was a very emotional journey for me as well. So long story short, we made the decision to put my son in an apartment style setting. So he's getting ready to transition in that process starting next month. I'm full of emotion. And I'm excited, but I'm not, because he's on a new journey, and so am I. And I'll kind of probably come back and keep you updated and let you know about that process. Because, a lot of parents find that they have to put them in residential. As your child gets older, you have to take proactive measures. And thank God I'm in sound mind and body. Do it now before, it gets too late. And also planning, plan, because you want to plan before your child turns 18. You want to have a plan in place. You don't have to have it carved out in extensive details, but have a plan in place as to what you might want to do. God forbid you leave this earth, because we're living in an unprecedented, chaotic world. And, special needs, I'm going to be honest, special needs people may not always be the priority in society. We have other things that are priorities. There's other groups that get supported, but I think there needs to be more of a collective with special needs families, especially here in Maryland. I don't know about your states, But that's why I say it's important to be in a collective. It could be 3 people, could be 2, could be your church group. It could be, you could be that support group, you know, your hospital may have a group. I don't know what you have going on, your fraternity, your sorority. Join with somebody, because that person may be able to help you get through what you're about to get through. And last but not least, I was also going to say, I'm going to get back into advocacy. And I think I'm also going to start like a small little prayer circle group on my channel. But anybody, reach out to me. I have a special email dedicated for my business. If you want to send me an email, I am here. I may not be able to give you a whole like hour, 2 hours, but I can give you something, because my sister and I, she's taught me so much about the technique of dealing and managing with behaviors. And she's taught me so much about how to approach a child with special needs, because there's a technique, there's a science behind it. If you ever need to reach out, okay, so it's getyourlifeonline@gmail.com. So send me an email. I'll even leave my phone number, 301-232-8171. Send me a text. Please reach out to me.
Much, Pamela.
I have
You're
so much to give.
I love it.
Yes, because again, what's advocacy? It's about getting support for that need that you know needs help.
Well, and I do think that's why, and I'll end it here, but I do think that's why also, because you did talk about doctors. If you guys don't know medmaps.org, these are doctors that are specialized, Medical Academy of Pediatric with Special Needs. These are doctors that are specialized with biomedical and knowing about autism, that what their specialty is. They're still in education, they're still doing fellowships, but they could have been a doctor for 20 years that went back to now learn more about the different protocols, because we are learning so much. So I want to leave people with hope, knowing that, and I know, Pamela, you probably feel the same way, where we both started, where you started 23 years, or probably your son got diagnosed around 2 or 3.
21 years ago.
17 years ago, because my son's 19. So much has changed. And I have to tell you, there's so much hope today. And there are a lot of amazing people. There's a lot of amazing groups that Pamela talked about. I always believe that until there is no help needed, that we have to keep on going, and we have to keep on fighting and being an advocate for our kids. So
absolutely,
people like you,
yeah.
Pamela, you just make
Thank
me smile. You make my heart warm.
Thank
And
you.
I am so grateful and honored that you took the time for Autism Hope Alliance to come and talk to our families, and we hope to have you back.
The work has just begun. It's every 44 people, every 1 in 44 has autism. So it's getting lower and lower.
And in California, that's where I'm at, it's 1 in 26. So,
there's work to be done
by states. So
the numbers don't lie. There's work to be done. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. So thank you so much, Pamela. And thank you guys for watching. And remember, as Pamela talked about before, rise above, figure out how to get into your community, how to be an advocate in your community. And remember, you are there as a mom, and you're going to have days that are scary, but you're also going to have amazing, amazing victories, as Pamela was talking about.
So many victories. Yep.
Absolutely. Until next time. Bye, guys.
Bye. Thank you.